this come about? Where this idea come from?
It came about. I actually was a part of a comedy sketch group back a couple years ago in Austin, Texas, and I pitched this idea about a couple signing up for a Groupon that ended up being kind of this workout class in a very Norman Bates type guy's basement, and it ended up, rightfully so, they felt it was a little too dark, and but I just had the idea and I wanted to make a feature film, and so I bounced the idea around with my friend Emily, and her and I kind of came up with the story. And my brother also stayed at an Airbnb where the host he wasn't creepy like our character, but he just wouldn't leave them alone, just kind of kept coming down and asking questions what they were going to do in the town that day, and all these kind of random things. And I was like, man, that would be a pretty terrifying situation to me. And then I'm also just equally scared of working out, so that's where people that are obsessed with working out, so
Yeah,
kind of where it all started forming.
There's quite a few layers to this. There's mythology, and then there's working out, and also strained relationships, and Airbnb. So it's quite a lot to fit in there. Did all the themes naturally come about as a writing process, or did you add some of these later on to try to make it a little bit more substantial?
Yeah, I think all the themes, I think, were just things when I was writing that kind of came out naturally. I think anytime I watch a movie, whether it's a genre movie or just a whatever movie, I want to root for the characters, and I want to care about them, or I want them to be so horrible that it's fun to watch, But at the same time, I think whether they're likable or not, I want to care to a degree, and I think a lot of the themes just kind of came about was starting with these characters. I didn't want to just write a horror movie that everyone gets killed and you don't care, and it's the classic tropes of terrible people that are pretty one-dimensional. I wanted everything and everyone in the movie to have it be three-dimensional and have some relatability. I mean, even our antagonist, I wanted Tad to have a relatability about him that you don't often get in bad guys or good guys in movies. So for that, I think it was quite a lot to fit in, sure, but I think also when I was just writing out of a place of what I know, and yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Oh yeah. Since it's a very character driven piece, it's not a slasher or anything like that. You have to have very believable actors. And where did you come about getting your cast? Was it a casting call, or did you know some of these people personally?
Yeah, I think, thank you. I think to all their, and they did such a great job in this film, and part of that was just I did write several of the characters with people I knew in mind, because I knew and were friends and had collaborated with before, just because I knew they had that in them, and then also it's a lot simpler to cast people sometimes. But then in terms of Tad, he was a buddy he's a writer friend that I reached out to because I trust his point of view on things, and he ended up saying, hey, let me audition for this, and I said, yeah, sure, go for it. And he's not who I had in mind at all. Going into this, I kind of had in mind a very jacked, workout freak looking guy. But Brady really just surprised me with his audition and terrified me, and worked out in such a good way. And then Caitlin, who plays Avery, I mean, we got connected to her through an open audition, and she was just so great and pretty much stood out in the audition process. And so, yeah, that was our risk, because everyone else kind of knew each other, but she came on and really she portrayed the badass of the film and also was a badass on set and helped out in so many ways. And so it was ended up being really great. But yeah, it was either people we knew and that I trusted with the parts, or people that just really impressed me. And so it was a lot of fun.
One of the major strengths of the film is definitely the believability of the characters. But how much of that actually came from you as director, and how much of that was just them being that damn good?
Yeah. Well, I mean, as much as I want to take the credit for it all, I think they really brought, like I said earlier, I wanted the characters to be so grounded, especially when it comes to more of the eccentricities of the plot, when it gets a little crazy, not to spoil anything, but I really wanted everyone to be believable and relatable. And we pretty much stuck to what I wrote and directed, but at the same time I would let all my actors do what I call an actor take, and I was just like, say it in your own words, don't worry about it, don't worry, just do it as if I'm not even here type of deal. And I would say 80% of the time I was using those takes in the cut, in the final cut. And I think I was probably hardest on Brady playing Tad, because I cared so much about that character coming across as so hateable that he's lovable, and Brady really just brought this endearing quality to the character that, for a sociopath, you at the same time he has this sadness about him that that I think plays really well and makes him, you just hate him, but he also has something that you want to keep watching about him, which that was 100% Brady.
Was there a particular scene, whether it be the character building drama or the horror aspects of it, was there a scene that you felt was particularly hard to film?
Man, there was a good amount that were hard to film just because we were on such a tight schedule. We filmed the movie in 11 days, and they were all pretty tough, but thankfully everyone kind of brought their A game. I think the harder things to film are the more technically difficult things, not necessarily the dramatic aspects. All our actors just did such a great job, but I think when it came down to, we shot some stuff on a lake that was actually more of a river, and that ended up being pretty difficult because we only had one day to film that stuff, and it was raining on and off, and so we were out in the middle of this river with umbrellas and a crew, and we had a PA swimming and pushing canoes and stuff on the side, and it was pretty cold, and so there was a lot of those aspects that ended up being pretty difficult to film. But I mean, no, in terms of the crew and cast, everyone brought their A game. I think often what we were fighting was against the natural aspects of everything. Is just, weather and time and things that we kind of had to film. And overall, we feel pretty good about it. But then there was just those days where we were faced off against things that we couldn't control, and it ended up being everyone just kind of working through it and bringing in performance. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of those cuts in that river scene where it was like right before we started filming it stopped raining, and then we got as much as we could, and then started raining again, and our poor actors were freezing cold because all the crew was bundled up and they were having to wear just their outfits.
Was everything filmed on location, or did you have some sets on a studio somewhere?
Everything was filmed on location, so we actually ended up filming and most of the cast and crew staying at that location, which was pretty fun, summer camp vibes. But I'm sure some people, I know Jeff, who plays Sam in the movie, had to sleep in Tad's secret room, and I don't know if he particularly enjoyed it, and so, because rightfully so, it's pretty creepy. But yeah, we all filmed on location. We had a few off location shoots, but thankfully we did have a perfect host when it came to letting us use that.
Oh, you fit it in there.
Yeah, I had to fit it in there.
What was the most rewarding thing about making this film for you?
Absolutely getting to screen it in front of an audience for the first time and getting the reaction that we did. This is a horror film that is definitely not your typical horror film. We have humor in there, and yeah, like you said, mythology and layers and some personal stuff, which, like, if you're signing on for a B movie slash 'em up, we're probably not going to provide that for you. But if you're signing on for something that's a little more existential angst and stuff, but also makes you laugh, so I know that my tone can be, let's say, original, to be positive, and sometimes people don't always relate to that, but then getting, audiences that did, and getting to talk to people afterwards, especially at the festival run and whatnot, who came up to me and said it was their favorite movie they've seen in a long time, and getting to see something different and shot in a way that is different than typical horror films. I think for me that was really rewarding, because I put a lot of work into this, and our crew put a lot of work into this, and everyone kind of brought their A game, and we're working on this for such a long time, at such a tight budget and such a tight schedule, that getting to see it all come together and not just fall to pieces was really rewarding. And yeah, because at the end of the day, I want to make movies that, entertain audiences and make people jump, but make people laugh and make people want to watch more. And so I think for me, that was fun to experience with an audience, and getting to hear the laughs and hear the screams. I couldn't have asked for anything more.